How are you doing today, Coach?
Ray, I'm doing awesome, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I've enjoyed the last 2 weekends sitting down and watching just some dominating football from your Temple Owls. 2-0 from the coach's perspective, because I got 1,000 things on my mind when it comes to the program. But from the coach's perspective, what's been the biggest thing you've taken away from the 2-0 start?
Well, it's amazing, where we were 9 months ago to where we are now. I think we've grown as a team. But more importantly, you can just see, like, when some of the alums have mentioned to me, like when you see the social media posts, you can tell that they genuinely like each other, and that we're all in this thing together. And we had a little adversity that UMass game where we didn't play well early. We made a couple of mistakes defensively. No panic at all on the sideline. So, and we're definitely going to need that this weekend when we play Oklahoma. We're playing some big boy football, but so far so good in terms of the players have really responded. They really have worked very hard to put themselves in this position. And I think they feel really good going into this game, and that's important. You can't go into a game like this and have any questions. I think they truly believe if we win the turnover battle, we beat them on special teams, we play clean, we have a great chance of winning this game. And that's kind of the mentality we have going into this thing.
And taking that mentality, again, you mentioned just Oklahoma and the big boy football that you have, the opportunity in front of you to host Oklahoma at Lincoln Financial Field. What does that mean to you and to this program right now?
Yeah, I think, we need a test, and this is a huge test. And I think it, works out well for us, the fact that they were on national television the week before, game day, Michigan, night game. Now they have to come east. Never easy, come in 3.5 hours east. And then, we have a noon start. Love the fact that we have a noon start. And they have Auburn after us. So there's a lot of things that line up very well in terms of they easily could look past us. There was a hot mic out there a couple days ago. I explained to our players, because I think some of the media people mentioned, like, 30,000 or 25,000 people. It's going to be like a high school game for them. And I said, you have to understand, there's a different energy in our building right now. There's this real positive, let's go at these guys. We can do this sort of mentality, where the energy they're getting is one of, like, well, where's Temple again? And what level do the football do they play? And it's not the kids' fault. In fact, I thought their coach did a great job in the press conference talking about Temple. But interestingly enough, after his press conference, there wasn't a single question from the media about Temple. This press conference is usually about, okay, what you just did and what's moving forward, and no one asked a question about playing the Temple Owls. Again, this is a situation where we have a great energy taking place in our building right now. We're excited about the opportunity. I think, there's an energy there that, hey, Temple happens to be on the schedule and we play Auburn. That's the most important thing we have going on.
You led me into a question I was going to get to there about that hot mic and whether or not you utilize outside noise. And in that case, you mentioned not even them asking about Temple in the presser, whether you utilize that to your team as a way of motivating or driving them towards this matchup on Saturday.
We always talk about, don't let the outside forces affect what's going on in this building. And sometimes it's just almost impossible because, you have such a lot of people in your ear. Well, again, they have a hot mic there. I'm sure they've all heard about that. Again, their coach does a great job talking about Temple, but not a single media person asked about, the game against Temple. And so, again, I just think there'll be a different energy, especially they have Auburn the next week, than we have going on in our building. And we'll take all those things into consideration, take all those things as a win for us. We obviously are going to be playing a very talented team that's made a huge investment in their program. And a team that, is a blue blood that aspires to win a national championship. And so, there's high expectations there. And I think when people kind of went through their schedule and looking at the number of wins, I'm sure Temple was just a simple, check that one off. I don't think we see it that way. I think we see it as, again, we win that turnover battle. We win on special teams. We play clean. It's going to come down to the end. And if it comes down to the end, that's when, big programs who should win sort of tighten up a little bit. And that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping for you get into that fourth quarter, and it's a close game, and then all of a sudden there's a realization, we can't lose this thing. And that's a positive for us.
In that hot mic clip, obviously talking about the crowd, the size, and the number of people that that come out to the games. Right now with this 2-0 start, the first time since 2019 that this program started 2-0, you have a certain attention about you. And I could tell that because Saturday, as that game's going on, my phone's blowing up with, all right, how are we getting down to the game against Oklahoma next Saturday? How am I getting there? What do you see in this Temple team? There's people excited about this team. How are you trying to get more of this message out and get the buy-in from the alumni and just people locally to get into Lincoln Financial Field for this game this weekend?
Yeah, I'm talking to people like you. I mean, anytime, Rich Berg can get me on a phone call. I was at the Phillies yesterday. Threw a strike, by the way. Everyone was concerned if I could throw a strike or not. Threw at the first pitch of the Phillies game and talked to a bunch of alums, like 400 or 500 Temple alums there for a function they had before the Phillies game. It was just encouraging them to support their football program and to come out and watch us play. So any chance I can get a opportunity to talk about Temple football and getting the alums and our student body excited again, I definitely will take advantage of that.
And now looking at the team right now, we're talking to Casey Keeler, the head coach of Temple football here on the Comcast Business Hotline. There's a couple of stories that I've enjoyed over the first 2 weeks. One is I think my first half takeaway from the first game of the season against UMass was that I needed a Peter Clark jersey. Could you tell people a little bit more about the story of what it took for Peter Clark to get into football and end up here at Temple football?
Well, it's so neat. We do something called our 3 H's. What your hardship is, who your hero is, and what your history is. And Peter offered, to be one of those guys who got up and talked about his 3 H's. And it's truly remarkable when you understand. Here's a guy that had to travel like 2 hours every day to go to school at a place where they would play football, like in the NFL Academy. And a guy that, really, when we walked in, we didn't know what we had. We saw a big body that we're not sure if he should play tackle or not, quite honestly, because he's such a big guy. And we really worked hard with him, becoming a better blocker. And, boy, he's caught everything, near him. He's made some huge catches. In fact, in the first game, I think it might have been the first touchdown that Evan Simon throws to Peter. I heard my offensive coordinator go, "Oh, no, touchdown," because the ball was a little bit out in front, and Peter just made this tremendous one-handed grab. And that wasn't even the best catch he had all day. He had a contested catch for a big gain on a seam route. Peter really has stepped up his game. I also think bringing Ryder Cushion, who was an early enrollee freshman, has really helped because Ryder is a really dynamic player, has really pushed Peter. And so, we have 2 tight ends. So when we go 12 personnel, it's not just because, we want to give them a different look. We feel we can put 2 tight ends on the field that really help balance us out.
You talked earlier about winning the turnover battle, keeping it close, really working on special teams and letting everything kind of fall in this game to have an opportunity to knock off Oklahoma. A lot of people look around at this team and say, look at what Evan Simon's done through 2 weeks. There's your reason why this team can win a football game. What have you been most impressed with the quarterback play that you've gotten out of Simon early on this season?
Well, just the way Evan handled the fact we were going to bring competition in. He didn't blink. It's like, I know we have to bring guys in to compete with me. And then when Giovanni McCoy gets here, one of the first things I saw out on a summer workout was Evan showing, the guy who's competing against him the footwork for a certain play. Who does that? Well, that's what Evan does. That's who he is. And Evan wants to win first. And he's truly a single digit. That's who he is. And we all know that's, a guy who will die first, before letting the Owls, not have success. And the guy that you want in the foxhole, when you go into war, the guys that lead you up the hill, those who are supposed to be those single digits. Well, Evan's truly a single digit. So that's what I've been so impressed with is just how he's approached, this competition and how it's actually made the entire team stronger because the way how Evan handled, bringing Giovanni McCoy in.
And now looking at the other side, obviously when you look at Oklahoma, quarterback, tremendous start to his season, and just looking at what they've done early on in the season, what sticks out most to get ready for the Sooners?
Well, it's really obvious that there's a strong relationship between their O coordinator and their quarterback. Because when the play needs to be made, he's putting in the quarterback's hands. And they were together at Washington State, and they came together to Oklahoma. And the quarterback carried the ball 19 times last week. I don't think they want to do that this week. Quite honestly, I don't think the quarterback will last the whole season if he's carrying the ball almost 20 times a game. So I think this is a game where they're going to try getting their run game, their traditional run game going. However, those 3rd and 5s where they need to get a first down, they're going to run the quarterback. That's their comfort zone, and there's such a strong belief between the O coordinator and the quarterback.
All right, one last one for you here, KC Keeler, and you get tickets to this weekend's game. Noon start, Oklahoma, the nationally ranked Sooners coming to Lincoln Financial Field to play Temple. One last one for you, and more just what would the message be you would send to people considering to come out there on Saturday to watch this game?
Well, it's been a pretty good brand of football. I mean, we play to the end. We play hard. There's some skill out there. And, I tell you, there was just under 20,000 fans, I guess, at this last game. And the atmosphere was just awesome. The band, the student body came out. It's going to be a great time. We're expecting 30,000 plus at the game. The atmosphere should be awesome. And you're getting a chance to look at a team in Oklahoma that aspires to be a national championship caliber team. They're in the top 15 already. So what a great opportunity to come out and watch the Owls play. And, again, I think they'll really enjoy what they see.
I can tell you I'll be one of those people out there this weekend. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to see the team in person for the first time this year.
I appreciate that. And go Owls.
Go Owls. That's right. KC Keeler, always great talking with you. Look forward to talking to you down the line.
You got it.
KC Keeler, the head coach of Temple Football, joined us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Hey, it's Ray Dunn from the Midday Show. Thank you so much for watching our content. If you want more videos, you can click right here. Or how about you subscribe right here so you stay in the know on all that's coming from 97.5 The Fanatic.